What's going on? Whoop whoop. Whoop whoop. Wop wop. Whoop whoop. Called whoop whoop. Charles, what's up? What is going on? All right, we got chats out. Does my dang YouTube remonetized yet? It's close. The people made it back. Safe and sound from space. That's nice. That is nice. Okay, not yet. The documentary comes out tomorrow. So excited. I know. I was watching my son and I was sitting at the couch and I was like, let's watch the documentary. I thought it came out today and I was so disappointed. I got to wait till tomorrow. Should the suburbs of Chicago be scared of a tornado tomorrow or not? Just trying to see if I need my Xanax tomorrow. Tornadoes are possible in the suburbs of Chicago tomorrow. I don't think there would be many. 2 or 3 are possible. You could get an EF2 or above. Do you guys? But you're only in a slight because while it's possible, it's not. The threat level isn't super high. It's not super high. Do you guys remember yesterday? Please tell me someone here remembers yesterday when I said, I really think that they should have a slight somewhere in here. Please tell me someone in here remembers that. I literally circled this. I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to pull it up in my VOD from yesterday. I literally circled this. What we were doing was we were in here. We were here. And I was like, and we were watching, and what we were looking at, and I'll show you why I did it. We were looking at the HRRR severe weather Tor params, right? We were looking at this. Ooh, this is actually really cranked up. But I was looking at this, and I was like, what? And I was like, they really should have a slight like here. They really should. Lo and behold, this is exactly where I circled. I'm not calling myself a better meteorologist than the people at the Storm Prediction Center. They're just like me and Matt are always like seeing things and being like, Matt will be like, this should be moderate already. 5 hours later, it'll go moderate. I'll see something and be like, why isn't this slight? And then like 24 hours later, it's slight. But like you already know it should be slight. Even when we had the Tor params of like just around like 0.5 to 1 through here, like that's a slight. Once you get a Tor param of a 1, you can have a EF. You could a SIG Tor param of 1. You can get a SIG Tor. So I don't know why they wait. They wait on tornado warnings too. You know, how many times have we seen a tornado warning and we're looking at it, we're like, this needs to be tornado warned, and then 15 minutes later it's tornado warned. I don't know what the lag is about. This area does deserve a slight. And I don't think it's impossible that maybe a little section down here goes enhanced. It's not going to be a long period of time where you have enough kind of shear and cape, but you'll have a little window here. They might tag something enhanced tomorrow, but we'll have to see. We got a lot to talk about. Is a hurricane developing in the Caribbean? Well, it would be in the Atlantic, possibly, but it wouldn't. It's not going to do much on anything right now. We'll look at that in a second. I quickly want to look at this. because we're looking at some new information here, and this thing has been. I mean, even up here in Chicago, 1.4. You know, plenty of helicity. We're 280 storm relative helicity at the low level shear at 33 knots. That's more than enough for a SIG tour. And then you've got a forecast cape of 1,200 joules per kilogram and surface cape of almost 1,000. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't see why a EF1, EF2 couldn't spin up in the Chicago suburbs. Hope it doesn't. I mean, you can just take a look. You can cheat here and look at the SIGTOR params down here, and you could say, yeah, well, clearly this is the more dangerous area just to the south of Chicago. But there's more than enough energy right here to put something up here. Do I think we're going to get an EF3, EF4, EF5 up in Chicago that's going to level a bunch of houses? No, guys. I mean, it's a possibility, like a 1 in a million with these parameters. You'd want a little bit more intense parameters, a little bit more, volatility for that. But you could get a tornado that does some damage to some roofs and trees, and I don't think we're gonna get anything could happen, but I don't think we're gonna get one of those big wedge EF3 plus tornadoes. Okay, EF2 maybe. Who knows? Down here, maybe you have potential for an EF3. Again, I think EF2 probably is going to be the cap. I think EF2 is probably going to be the cap tomorrow, but we'll have to see if an EF3 wants to sneak in there. It's not going to be a major tornado outbreak. We're not going to see 50 to 100 tornadoes. We might see like 6. That's another good thing. This is a super interesting tornado parameter that's just kind of sunk in here, though. I want to see this real quick. Wow, look at that dew point just drop off a cliff. This is kind of capped. This is a ton of mid-level shear. Mid-level jet's going to be cranking. Cape is really good. The SRH and the low-level shear here, 46 knots, is wild. That's surface shear, cranking at about wanting to crank up at category 1 strength. So, yeah, this could be active. Really quick before I move on, and I'm gonna get to your guys' questions. Don't worry. I wanted to show you this. This can show you where the cells that they expect to form. So take a look at this. Do you guys see this? You guys see this? So this is kind of giving us a little glance at where they think we could have tornadoes. You could see this to the south of Chicago. And then potentially something through here. Although I think it's missing some of this. But interesting. Okay. Timing, just so you guys know. Things are going to really start to go downhill tomorrow around 12 in the afternoon, I believe. So, it's an afternoon. It's an afternoon event, that's for sure. Could start a little bit earlier, but it's an afternoon event, and then it's going to really start to fade out. The worst of it's going to be out over evening time, and then you'll get some back-end rain, maybe a little back-end snow, but probably back-end rain. All right, so that's what's going on with that. I know people want to know about snow totals. Let me go through this stuff, and then I'm gonna answer your questions. I will quickly go through this, very, very quickly. Regions, Ohio Valley. Let's just take a look at the latest snow total expectations from this storm. Really, really thin line of snow. We're talking about 7 to 9 possible in Omaha. We'll see about that. 5 to 7 in central Kansas. I think take a little bit off that. There's going to be some mixing down there. And then this stays south of the Twin Cities, but you can see through here a good 5 to 7 is possible, maybe up to 8 or 9 locally in some areas. The HRRR sees something simple. Let's look at the NAM 3K actually. Let's look at the NAM 3K. 00Z is loading, so let's go back to the 18Z. We're gonna don't worry guys, I'm gonna answer all your questions. A little farther north, the NAM 3K goes crazy. 1.5 feet of snow in southeastern Minnesota. This just does a lot more snow. A lot more snow for a lot of places. So still pulled to the south. The GFS, has the GFS adjusted? The GFS still has almost a foot into Minneapolis. It still has the snow farther to the north. But once the HRRR and the Euro agree that it's going south, it typically, or agree on a path, it's typically going to be what happens. This is almost 20 inches in Nebraska. I don't think that's going to happen. You know, I think I like the HRRR, but I think you got to take 3 inches off of all these totals, basically. So, oh, sorry, guys. I needed to, what is going on? What's behind this? What is, why is that back there? Hold up, guys. Let me fix this. This is so annoying. Why are these on top of each other? Okay. All right. Well, that was annoying. For anyone who couldn't see that left side. Yeah. Maybe some big totals back here. I think they're going to be a lot less than this. If I'm being honest, I think Omaha 5 to 7 inches is more realistic. Maybe 8 or 9 locally, and I think maybe 3 to 5 down here in central Kansas. So yeah, that's what's going on with that. One other thing to cover, and then I'm going to chat. One other thing to cover. This we still do have a day 6 risk. Remember when they put risks out this far, this could be really dangerous. It shifted a little bit west. I don't know why. I think it's going to be more of this type of event, but we'll have to see. Houston and Dallas, I would say you both want to pay close attention. Just in general with this one. And you'll see if we move forward in time. It's going to be like a Sunday event. So here we go. Sunday evening, I believe. They moved it up to Sunday morning. Here it comes. Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. So we'll see. I mean, right now the Euro likes probably some spin-ups in this region. This would be another snowstorm up here for the north. So we are walking our way into a major cool down out east again, though. And someone could get snow much farther south than they think. All right, chat, what's going on? What's going on? Let me see if does our tropical tidbit say anything about this thing that we have in the middle of the ocean? No? Okay, that's fine. All right, let me get this set back up so I can see what I'm looking at. Wisconsin. You want to see Wisconsin snow totals? We'll look at the Euro for this right now. Wisconsin. That's how the Euro's handling it. I think it's being cautious, which is good. The GFS and HRRR and NAM want twice the amount of snow of this, though. So look at the HRRR. Pounding it on. Look at the NAM. Big snow. We'll take the conservative. We'll take the well. I don't really. I want to take a combination of the conservative and non-conservative, but for now we'll look at this. If you really wanted to take a look at the national blend, that's a pretty good. That'll give you a pretty good idea of what you're gonna see. It takes all the models into account. GFS nor'easter. You want to talk about that? I don't know. It's kind of a pipe dream, so but we'll look at it. We'll look at it. Okay. GFS. I actually haven't seen the 18Z. Yeah. This is probably not happening. This snow right here is probably not happening. How does the Euro handle this? We're just going to be way too warm. I don't know what the GFS thinks is... I don't know what the GFS is doing with temperatures, but no other model has us being cool enough for that to be snow, even on the back end. What does the GFS have snowfall-wise because of that? Psh, like 6 inches in Philly? I just highly doubt this is going to happen. Let me go out and see what's happening a little bit farther out in the GFS. I think we have actually a weird chance for snow, but it's later. And then we have that one, and then we have this is a lot of cold air and snow moving into the north. This would be a monster snowstorm. This would be a monster snowstorm for Philly up to New York City. The GFS is doing wild things, guys. We are going to get a lot colder out in the east. But, yeah, the GFS wants, like, 30 inches of snow into Philly. Yeah, and, like, 22 all up and down Jersey and 24 inches into DC. I'm not going to take that very seriously right now. We'll wait on that. We'll wait on that, guys. We're not going to. I'm not even going to entertain that. Yeah. There's a little something out in the Atlantic if you guys want to look at it. We can look at it. We can look at that. Let's go here. All right, so let's go into models global GFS. Let's look at. We'll just look at composite reflectivity for now. Here we go. What are they worried? What are they thinking is going to spin up? What I need to do is I need to look at satellite. Let me do this. Give me a second, guys. Let's go into satellite. I'm not going to have long wave IR. Here we go. Clean. I need to go into a different region. Let's go into Atlantic Basin. Nope, not visible. 1 second, guys. All right. Let's see what they're looking at. I mean, this... Is this what they're thinking could become a hurricane? Because I just don't see it. It's too wide. I don't see it. There's this feature right here that has a better chance than this thing, in my opinion. But this would just be pushed off to the north. I think this thing is trying to get itself developed into like a tropical storm, but it's going to be shoved off to the north because there's a really good spin down there at the surface. You can see it. You can actually see the eye right here. There's a really good circulation in there. There's just no moisture around this, but there's a really good low pressure circulation in there. So this is just your typical low that's going to skirt off into the northeast. But if that wasn't there pushing it away, this is a really interesting feature for this time of year. Yeah, it could easily become Tropical Storm Cat 1, but this is going to get sheared to pieces. So not going to happen. All right. God, I can't wait for hurricane season. Yeah, I think that's the 10%. Yeah. Yeah, let me give me 1 second, guys. One moment. They've got nothing for us. No tropical cyclone formation is expected during the next 7 days. No surprise. All right. Didn't you say a day ago more snow is coming or cold air? Well, cold air is here. Yes, snow. I mean, we're about to get big snow over the Central Plains and through portions of the Midwest. We are. Let's look at our temperatures currently. Let's see. Here's what's going on. We warm up for out east here for the next couple days. And then as we get into the weekend, and especially next week, we're going to see well below average temperatures for a lot of people out here in the east. And we're going to see a big ridge building up in the west. These temperatures are going to have a chance to get wind chills down into the freezing, back down into Florida. And this is going to be, we're talking this time frame, the end of March. March 24th to the 28th, you could have wind chills below freezing down in Florida. So you can only imagine what some of this air is going to be up here. There will be the opportunity for snow, above this line, anywhere above this line. I don't expect any sort of big late snowstorm. The GFS gives it, wants to hold the jet stream like this and try to push some clippers into here and potentially like a nor'easter. It's not impossible, but we really need this cold air. We talked about it yesterday. All of our models do see a massive dip in the polar jet, not just your normal jet, your polar jet, around the same exact time. We can look at it again here. There's different types of dips, and this is a significant dip. So this is the euro. And this is a pretty big dive of cold air. This would give the opportunity for snow in some of these areas, including the mid-Atlantic. But you need a bunch of other things to happen right. Okay, because when you have stuff like this that's moving through now, your polar jet's actually to the north. This is more like a subtropical jet. So you don't have any cold air here, even though it looks like you have a jet stream beneath you. That is cold air. And then you have potentially, I don't think this would be as cold because we have another jet to the north, but you could get a really, really, kind of cold core low in there. So the GFS sees the same thing at the same time. So here we go on the GFS. Look at this big. This would be pretty cold air. This is our polar jet just diving to the south. This would be a lot of cold air. And then our Canadian shows the same thing. They've pulled back a little bit, I think, but they still have. Look at that. Look at that thing. This is freezing air, way farther south than it should be in late March. So, yeah, there's an opportunity for a weird snowstorm here. But one thing's guaranteed, I think, we're gonna have well below average temperatures moving into next week. Will there be like a late, snowfall somewhere in the mid-Atlantic or in the Ohio Valley? Possibly. It's possible with this, but we gotta wait a little bit. That's a little bit out of forecasting range. This is next week's problem. But we do have model consensus. Canadian, Euro, and GFS all at the same exact time. So they're highly agreeing on that cold air pushing in, that well below average air. Wildfire outbreaks in Oklahoma and Texas. Yeah, there's still red flag warnings everywhere, I think. Let me actually check on that. Yeah, they're all over the place. Let me see. Fire. Yeah, so these are all your red flag warnings. And these are your fire watches. So, but you can see what's going on here, yeah. Do you think the Farmer's Almanac is right on predicting winters? Well, it doesn't take any science into account. It's supposed to be like a prophecy, like made up thing. So I don't think people understand that. Like the Farmer's Almanac they go off of like vibes. They don't go off of any science. So I think the Farmer's Almanac has been wrong like 7 of the last 8 winters. It's literally a vibe thing. There's no science behind the Farmer's Almanac. I used to think there was when I was growing up. I'd look at that thing, but it's not. Damn. I just looked at my stream. 37 people Woo, it's a slow night for me. What did I do? When no crazy weather's going on, people don't care as much about weather. That's okay. I'm like, oh gosh. That's all right. 35 people's enough for me. Can you play Outbreak with Matt this weekend? Yeah, I'll play with him a little bit. There were some updates to it, so I really want to play with the updates. Slim, what's going on? Sorry, YouTube. I'm looking at you too. Yeah, Riley, I'm still on TikTok. Yeah. I think we're going to get some. I'm predicting we're going to get a hurricane in April. Okay? I'm predicting we're going to get a hurricane in April. I don't think it's going to make landfall, though. I think we're going to have a hurricane in April, though. We've got some warm waters, guys. And we've got a La Nina. Very little shear over the Caribbean and Gulf. Very little shear over the Western Atlantic in general. Yes, next week is going to get pretty cold for the East. It is. Really starting late in this weekend. I miss Chicago snowstorms. Bring those back. Over the last 10 years, Chicago, if you were to combine the average, if you were to combine the snow that Chicago's gotten over the last 10 years, over the last decade, Chicago has actually seen above average snow. They've had a bad, couple of years, but over the last 10, they've actually seen above average. Yeah, Charles, imagine that we get that 2 to 3 feet in Philly, New York City as we get into April. It's probably not going to happen, but hey, man, I'm rooting for it. I always root for crazy weather events as long as people aren't getting hurt. Here, let me get back over to the map here. Give me a second, guys. Back over to Pivotal. There we go. There we go. Will Iowa be cold, or can we expect this new batch of snow to disappear quickly? You guys are going to get cold for a little bit. There's going to be cold air behind this. There always is. You do have some ridging that wants to push back in. Let's take a look at our temperature. Let's take a look at our anomalies after the system moves through. So there it is. You can literally see the cyclone. You guys wonder why there's high winds? Look at this heat pulling into this cold air, causing this rapidly rising warm air and rapidly sinking cold air under it. Big pressure gradients. Here it comes. You're below average. That is a problem right after it. You warm up a little bit, but that sweeps through and you get cold again. So it depends. That you could see it melt pretty quickly Friday. What's the temps going to be Friday? Let's see. I mean, you're not going to get super warm. Well, yeah, you're going to get pretty warm. Most of the snow is going to be up here. You can actually see. You guys want to know what's funny? Actually looking at this. You guys notice anything about where this green streak is? Anyone notice anything about where this green streak is? What it matches up with? I'm going to give you a hint. Notice that? The Euro is accounting for the fact that snow will have fallen. A lot of snow will have fallen right here. And the sunlight's going to be reflecting off that snow. And the surface air is going to be colder. So it's keeping this whole strip while you have 53 here in 53 here, it's keeping this in the 40s because that's where the snow just fell. The Euro on the temperature map literally sees where that snow I mean, that's impressive from a model. Look, there it is. You guys can see. You guys can literally see the band of snow. This, if I were to go to the Euro now, that's where it expects the snow to fall. Literally, look. See? So it's keeping the surface cooler. And it's accounting for the sun reflecting off the surface there, so that area will remain cooler. Kind of want to play Rocket League. Maybe one of these days. Yeah, the Euro's the one actually really underdoing this. All the other models are really, really big on this. I think the NAM 3K does some crazy things with the snow here. I mean, we're seeing the NAM 3K putting up to 17 inches in some areas. A foot in north and eastern Iowa, potentially, and southeastern Minnesota. The HRRR actually might be crazier. Oops, that's not the HRRR I wanted to go into. Where is it? Where is it? HRRR, thank you. 3 kilometer. There we go. The HRRR goes wild. The HRRR puts 20 inches into portions of central Nebraska. Central-ish Nebraska. Drops a decent amount of snow in Wisconsin. You can see this. I mean, 7 to 10 inches across a lot of the state. So we'll see. I don't think it's going to be this much snow. I think it's going to be a combination of this and the Euro. So I would pull a few inches off of this HRRR model. You don't want to deal with more hurricanes? It's been a while. Appreciate it, NTX. I appreciate it. How's everyone's Tuesday nights going? Is it... What the... How is the calendar on my computer in Asian? Or Chinese? What? How do I reset this? What the heck? What just happened? I just pulled up my calendar and everything's in like Chinese or Japanese or something. Wait, hold up, guys. I need to fix this. I don't know what's going on here. Time, language. Oh, here we go. Yeah, can we get back? Oh, Chinese. No, I'm good. Don't show additional calendars. There we go. Oh, it's a Chinese lunar year calendar? What the heck was that? Can I donate 10K? Yeah, you're more than welcome to, Santi. I just got off the roof fixed from Milton. Oh, yeah, I feel that. Yeah, we don't want more hurricanes in that region. I mean, it had been a while since we had a big hurricane there, though. I mean, you know, it'd be really unfortunate if we had that back-to-back seasons. Instability and soundings for the Southwest Indiana tomorrow. Yeah, we can look at that. Let's get into let's take a look at HRRR. And let's zoom in here. Okay. Let's take a look. How bad are these tornadoes going to be, guys? These potential tornadoes. Southwest Indiana may be okay. I think I'm worried more to the north of you. But let's take a look. Because I mean, we can just take it straight to I would just take it straight to the Sigtor params. And you see, I mean, I would say yeah, I'd say this is our area to worry about. I'm not, even though we have some SIGTOR down here, I'm not as concerned. But if I were to take one of these readings down here, there's plenty of SRH and shear. There's plenty. The issue down here is CAPE. So let's take a look at our CAPE. Actually, let's look at most unstable. Let's look at surface CAPE. You see this big gap in CAPE? Interesting. So you can see where the most CAPE lies. It's going to start here and it's going to come up through here. So I think that's the main issue with down south is you don't really have the CAPE. Even if we look at most unstable, like there's just a big gap down there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's happening down here to the south? So I don't think you have to worry as much. But I mean, yeah, here's what can happen. CAPE is really hard to forecast because CAPE, when you're forecasting CAPE intensifies as the day warms up. So because as your air parcel heats up, it becomes warmer than the environment around it. It raises, it condenses, it releases latent heat, and it fuels these thunderstorms. It creates these thunderstorms and fuels them. So CAPE can be very hard to predict. This is a very scary time frame right here, 1 p.m. CAPE can be very hard to predict because if you're off by a couple degree with the temperature, which sometimes we are, say it gets 2 or 3 degrees warmer than we think, it can cause that air parcel to rise much faster than expected, and suddenly you have a lot of CAPE. What can also happen is the timing of the storm. If the timing of this storm, if the shear and your mid-level jet and your low-level jet really starts cranking up, and this moisture becomes available closer to the hottest part of the day instead of it moving in earlier. So say it was supposed to move through at 11 or 12, suddenly it's moving through at 1 or 2, and the timing is different. Suddenly you have a ton of CAPE there. It's warmer than we thought it would be, and there's a lot more sun heating, and so you can. What the heck? Why is it saying reconnect? So a lot of things can throw off a CAPE reading. So when I looked at that down there in southwestern Indiana, you had plenty of helicity, which is rotation at the surface, and you had plenty of surface shear. All you were missing was CAPE, and CAPE's one of those sketchy things that a lot of models don't get correct. So I would say you got to make sure you have weather alerts and really need to pay attention to southwestern Indiana because you have 2 of the 3 things you need for a strong tornado, and the other one, CAPE, you have enough, not much, but you could end up with a lot more depending on the speed of this, and depending on how well your temperature is being forecast. Hurricane season is fun, but damage sucks. We haven't had a big hurricane in Houston in a while, which is bad. Been since 2017. But when we get back into the but then we get back into winter after. Sorry, I don't have my glasses on. It's like impossible for me to read. Houston has dodged a few bullets in the last few years. Houston has gotten close. Houston's had a bunch of storms that were like aiming at it and moved at the last second. You guys aren't going to keep getting that lucky. Well, the vortex, now that everything's warming up, the vortex is starting to heat. As we push into spring and summer, your vortex begins to heat in the northern hemisphere, and more of a high pressure begins to build in the vortex in the northern hemisphere, while a low will be building in the southern hemisphere. So it's breaking apart, but it's breaking down, but naturally. Is that going to be able to ride CAPE? What do you mean by that? Oh, increase? Temperature's around 68 degrees tomorrow. You'd want it to be a little bit warmer. A lot of it has to do with dew points and stuff like that too, though. So it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter how hot it is. It matters how much warmer your parcel of air is as compared to the atmosphere around it. And what these if these models are assuming that the parcel of air is going to be at about 68 degrees, or is going to be at about whatever, it's going to be at 68, and then suddenly it's 71, and the atmosphere around it is much cooler, then you're gonna have stronger updrafts. Cape is basically a strong updraft. You're gonna have stronger updrafts. So it's really just messes with the calculation of Cape if it's accounting for a different temperature than it's going to be. It could be it could be it being 64 or 67, or it could be it being 82 or 85. The difference can really mess with how much Cape you see in an area. What happens is you have all of this cool, moist air being pushed in to drier air out ahead of it. And that drier air is going to be a certain temperature. And this cool, moist air is going to be a certain temperature. And if this is much warmer than this cool air, the warmer it is than this cool air, the quicker this is going to shoot up into the sky. The quicker these updrafts are going to form. And so, again, if you calculate the temperature of this out here wrong, but if you think it's going to be less than it actually is, you could end up with a much stronger updraft, much more Cape. It just is how it is what it is. Southwest Chicago suburbs tomorrow, yes. Southwest and southern burbs is what we're really concerned with, I think, more than anything. Yeah. At least I'm not as concerned with Chicago out west and to the north, although we could get something up there. But this is the concerning area right in here. Dew point is 54. That's something I haven't actually looked at. Let me take a look at that. It's pretty important when it comes to this stuff. Dew point's another thing that you don't. Ooh. No, dew points get up to 57. You see Chicago stays a little bit lower. But right to the south and west, look at this, 56. Potentially 57, 58. So, you'd want over 60, I think, to get a really big booming tornado. But this is pretty good. Those are some pretty steep dew points up there. Not bad. Not bad at all. Yeah, the dew points are crazy down south. I mean, I do wonder if we could end up getting something down in Kentucky. Because you're going to have some cells down here with, dew points in the 60s. Maybe you get something down here really low. We'll see. I think it's possible. Omaha, Nebraska, as far as snowfall. Right now, I'm saying 5 to 7 inches. But I think some areas locally will get 8 or 9 inches. I think potentially we'll get an enhanced through here. I do think potentially we'll get an enhanced right in there. It would probably be more like, it would probably look more something like that. Yeah, tomorrow. The timing of this across Indiana, it's afternoon into evening. I mean, right now in the HRRR with the latest model, we're having this thing the storms start to move in. The initial storms start to move in at around 2 p.m. Now the severe weather doesn't look like it wants to move in until about, I would say, 4 or 5 p.m. It really depends. It depends where you are in Indiana, because you can see right here. This would be, so let me do my math. This would be 4 p.m. And you have some cells moving into western Indiana. But this out ahead, this isn't a serious threat. So you have them kind of crossing over the border around 4 p.m. But, we'll have to see when the most dangerous weather is. This could be the time frame we're worried about here. And that would be around 6. KC typically, yes. As daytime heating increases, Cape increases. Yeah. Heating has a lot to do with Cape. Northern Illinois for tomorrow. It makes sense. Look at this. This is the most dangerous pocket of storms you see on this radar. Right here. So he's probably going to be somewhere in this box. Most likely he's going to be over here. I'm telling you, though, if you get a little extra Cape down here, this could be something big. We'll have to watch this down here to the south, and including a little bit into Kentucky. Yeah, I know. I didn't even read it as timer. I read it as Timmer, and then I just realized you misspelled it. As a newbie, what is the best model to run on Pivotal Weather for tracking? Well, it depends what you're doing. GFS does good with hurricanes, and people say the Euro does better. It's such a lie. The internet says the Euro does better too, and it's such a lie. The Euro does really good with snowstorms. The HRRR model right here is a short range. It's a great short range model for severe weather. The Euro is probably our best overall model for like if you're forecasting out 5 days, 7 days, 8. It's a global model, so it looks out kind of mid-range to long range. But yeah, HRRR is a really good short range model, and then your Euro is probably your best global model, European model. Long Island snow. Listen, there's some interesting looks next week, but I'm not going to talk about it yet. We're still like 7 days away, over 7 days away. I know the GFS is showing Long Island snow like this Friday. It's highly unlikely. Like this, I see it. It's just highly unlikely. And then it shows snow again here, highly unlikely. Snow again here, highly unlikely. Snow again here, highly. The GFS shows like 10 different snowstorms. Look at this. And another one. The GFS shows like 4 big snowstorms for the Mid-Atlantic and New England over the next 2 weeks. Oh, I don't know what the GFS is smoking. But, hey, who knows? Who knows? We'll wait a little bit longer to look at that. I live just southwest of Chicago. I'll be on alert tomorrow afternoon. You should be. Have a way to get, watches and warnings. AccuWeather app's great. Weather Channel app's great. You can set in your notifications on your phone, scroll all the way to the bottom. You can get like the government alerts where you get like state alerts, and that'll notify you. Or just watch a streamer. There'll be people covering it. Dew point, how does this make a difference? The higher the dew point, the higher the dew point, the closer the dew point gets to the actual temperature, the more saturated your air is. So, for instance, let's look at the temperature when this storm moves through. We will be able to see it on here. All right. So the temps out here are going to be around, we'll say the mid 60s. And then our dew point around that same time frame is going to be around some areas in the mid 50s. So your dew point, when your dew point starts getting up there close to your temperature, you have very saturated air. Saturation is very important for thunderstorms. Why? Because they're what creates heat up in the atmosphere. When your cape and your updrafts pull that moisture up into the atmosphere and that moisture condenses, it releases latent heat. The process of it condensing, turning from a gas to a liquid, releases latent heat. And this latent heat fuels, is like the gasoline in your car to make your car go. It fuels thunderstorms. So you need moisture. Not because you want it to rain, but because you need these things to be cranking. You need these things to be, these thunderstorms to be expanding. Will this affect Pittsburgh or just rain and wind? Rain and wind, Charles. It'll be rain and wind for a little bit for you guys. I just pulled a tour on Southwest Indiana tomorrow with the HRRR. A what? A tour parameter? What are you up to? What are you up to, Casey? Yeah, I mean, we were looking at that earlier. Look, there's some tour parameters down here. There's a little bit of a SIG tour param. Here you go. 1.5. It's plenty enough for a SIG tour here. Not looking super crazy, but you've got a 1.0 effective layer SIG tour param. It's pretty good. You can get an EF2 out of that. You have a fixed SIG tour param of 1.3. Yeah, you can get a SIG tour out of that, EF2 plus. Your wind shear is pretty decent. 34 knots at the surface of shear, 278 storm relative helicity. Again, the only thing you're really missing here is cape, but you know that's enough still. But you'd probably want a little bit more. Yeah, I mean this is you can get tornadoes out of this type of a sounding. That you can. Let's see what this one is. This is close there too. This is 1300 forecast cape. So we got to keep a close eye on this. We do. What's up, Nate? Nothing much in the helicity. The helicity wasn't bad. For helicity, for SRH, you kind of want, you can get a good spin up. You can get a good tornado if you're really, you just want your SRH to be like over 200. Some say over 150. I think it's like over 200. So, is it possible to get enhanced tomorrow for Southwestern Indiana? If we get an enhanced tomorrow, and I was talking about this, I think if we get an enhanced tomorrow, which I actually think we will, I was correct about this, so I'll just try to go for 2. I'll try to be 2 out of 2. I literally said in the stream yesterday, I thought we'd get a slight here. We nailed it. I may be wrong about this, but we'll try to get 2 out of 2. We may get an enhanced in here. If we get an enhanced, it's going to be a small enhanced. Because there's a very small window. There's a very small window where we have this cape shear in these dew points kind of colliding. And stuff starts to really fall off over here fairly quickly. So we may get an enhanced. It'd be one of the smallest enhanced I've seen in a while. Yeah, Nate, you don't gotta apologize. Believe me, I understand. I'm busy all the time too. Even doing the lives is tough. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, some of the snow totals for Wisconsin are starting to look potentially pretty decent. I think that, yeah, this is the H triple R. Is this the H triple? Yeah, this is the H triple R here. I think this is being a little bullish on it. I would say the Euro's more accurate, but I would also say, let's go in here. I would actually add a couple more inches onto this in the Euro. This is a big kind of 4 to 8 inches. I would say this is could end up being 6 to 9. Maybe more. Oh, is that Oshkosh right there? Let me see. Oh, I see where it is. Yeah, right to the southwest of Green Bay. I always forget where it is. So yeah, I mean, if we were to look at the H triple R here, look at this. Yeah, it's got like almost a foot of snow. It's got like almost a foot of snow into there. What about snow for Papillion, Nebraska, just south of Omaha? We'll take a look at what some of these models think. How far south of Nebraska? Let's see. I mean, Omaha. Papillion. So it's just Omaha Metro. Okay. Let me see here. Yeah, I mean, so you guys are... I mean... Right now it's looking like a 5 to 8 day on the H triple R. The Euro's going to bring it down a little bit. Not much. Looks like a 5 to 8 day on the Euro as well. Let's go and take a look at our NAM 3K. 5 to 8 day as well, potentially, maybe even more. So let's just go over to our national blend. See, maybe a 4 to 7. It looks like you guys are getting good snow, regardless of the outcome here. It would be, Kyle. Fabe, what's going on? I finally got to reapply for my monetization and memberships on YouTube. It's just gonna take like 2 to 3 days. They said up to 2 to 3 days for them to reapprove it. But at least I'm good to go now. Illinois weather is wild. It was 80 Friday, snowing Sunday, and now it's 70 again with severe storms. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this is starting tomorrow. Yeah, this is starting tomorrow. So timing of this moving into Nebraska, or the snow beginning to the heaviest snow starting, probably going to be, I mean, your time, because you're back in time, would be like 5 or 6 a.m. when the heaviest snow might be moving in. Tomorrow morning. Yeah, we're not that far away. HRRR shows Omaha flipping to snow around 9 a.m. Yeah, because you're going to start off rain. I think it might flip to snow sooner than that. I think it may flip to snow closer to 6, but we'll see. Not saying 8 p.m. for Southwest Indiana daytime heating will most likely increase Cape, I'm guessing. Yeah, the Cape is pretty low. Yeah, the timing of it's going to be everything. So right here, the Euro is still thinking around 3. Things are cranking up between 3 and 6 p.m. Yeah, 4 to 5 p.m. It thinks that the worst of the storms are going to begin moving into western Indiana. So that wouldn't be great. You know, you're on average, your hottest part of the day is between 3 and 4 p.m. So, you know, Yeah, Fade. So I was finally able to reapply for my my monetization and memberships. So now YouTube has to review it again, but they say it takes like 2 to 3 days. So but now everything's done. I just have to wait 2 or 3 days, and my account will be back to normal. So, and then I can start doing some fun stuff like putting merch up and getting memberships and doing other sorts of stuff on my YouTube. Actually, customizing it more for subs. But yeah, it's gonna now that I submit it. I had to resubmit like all my documents again. There was a whole mix up, but should be good in a couple days now. So who's that? What's going on? Well, could we see the EF2 plus tornadoes? Well, we can't see them because they haven't happened yet. But yeah, I mean, like we can look in. We can look into the HRRR and see kind of where it's assuming we might have them. Okay, so here you go. Well, there's one. These are some areas of concern with rotation. So, but you know, things could change. We could end up getting, you know, I'm looking at these really these cells down to the south. This is kind of a spooky set of cells down here to the south. So we'll have to see if we get a little. We're gonna have the shear here. We're gonna have the helicity. We're gonna have the dew points. We're gonna have everything we need. We need a little bit more cape, and I think we might get that. I think that cape might jump up, and then this is gonna produce a little bit more than expected. Well, if the cape jumps up, that'll produce a little bit more than expected. It will. Yeah, for like everyone, it's starting as rain first. For most people, and then it's getting into snow. I think it's gonna start for rain as you as well. You're in one of the circles I just drew. Well, then have a way to have weather alerts on, or have a way to get weather alerts. Luckily, this isn't expected to be a massive tornado outbreak. We're not expected to see 50 to 100 tornadoes like we did with this last one, but 5 or 6 is possible. Yeah, there's very little tornado risk in southern. I mean, this is probably the cutoff for tornado risk into Wisconsin. I think it's below Milwaukee. All right, guys. I gotta get to bed. I've been doing these hour streams because I've been feeling better with getting more rest, so I'm trying to keep that up. But again, I'll be streaming. I'll be doing double streams on the weekend, so I'll be posting more about this tomorrow. I'll be back on stream tomorrow. Trying to get on between 9 and 9. I got on like 9:30 p.m. today. I always try to get on at 9 and end up getting on at 9:30 lately. But I appreciate you guys being in here. I do. I would love to try storm chasing, Nate. If I'm being honest, I got a family, kids. So I don't think my wife wants me to do it, but I think it would be super cool. It's something I've always wanted to do, so we'll see. I think it's something I've always wanted to do. Yeah. Yeah, everyone have a good night. I'll post more updates on this tomorrow, and I'll be back streaming tomorrow. We'll see. I may even get on a little bit earlier streaming tomorrow, like 8 p.m. I'm just thinking of my schedule tomorrow, and I think I will be able to maybe do like an 8 to 10 p.m. tomorrow. Yeah, I appreciate all you guys are awesome. Love you guys, and have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.